Dave here from Geeky Guys with another episode of 18 Days Till Halloween, 18 horror movies and 18 horror movie reviews. Today we're having a look at a 2021 American horror film called Hellbender. And it is written, produced and starring quite a few of the Addams family. No, not that Addams family, but John Addams, Zelda Addams and Toby Poser. It was written and filmed during some of the COVID pandemic, so obviously they had a lot of restrictions to work around then, a lot of restrictions to the way that they were able to film and how often they could get together and the type of gatherings and that sort of thing. And it basically is like a modern gothic witch tale, where the witches are called hellbenders instead of witches in this film, as they are named as such, as they bend to the will of hell, to the will of the devil, and like the devil's tool and hell's tool. There's all those kind of words and descriptions within this movie, but it's set amongst kind of teenage angst, parenting, coming of age, all that sort of thing, with a bit of a witchy overtone in the background, which is quite good fun. As I say, it stars Toby Poser and Zelda Addams. Zelda Addams plays the daughter Izzy, and Toby Poser plays her mother, who isn't actually credited with a name, just a mother, which you don't get very often. Probably the only time you get that sort of thing is in horror films, to be honest, and that's the case here. They live in a woodland, isolated home on the side of a mountain. A witch living in the woods. We've heard that before. But yeah, they live in a house on their own. They live a strictly vegetarian forage diet, and you kind of find out why that is and why that's important later on in the film. Her mother goes out to town and get supplies, and they're both into art and music, so she goes to fetch art supplies and supplies for making music, as they're in a metal band called Hellbender, which was something that the Addams family, who were involved in making this film, actually had as a music project before this film. That's kind of where they got the name from and some of these ideas from that music project. So they kind of, the mother and daughter play metal music together. Quite good, actually. Some of it's pretty good, some of it's a bit weird, some concerning lyrics at times, but yeah, they live in the woods and have very little contact with the outside world. The daughter is kind of unaware until a certain point of the dark old family secret, the old skeletons in the closet, and she ends up obviously, although her mother has told her not to, she ends up going out and like trying to make friends and meet people, and that's where things kind of start spiraling and going a bit wrong. You kind of get the impression through the film that the mother's trying to raise her in a certain way, to certain guidelines and certain morals, trying to keep all the dark stuff away from her and just let her grow up as a normal girl, as a normal teenage girl. But obviously things aren't as easy as that. Kids go against the parents and they want to know things that they're not supposed to know, and so that kind of is where the direction of where it goes, really, and or you couldn't imagine the craziness and the bloodfest and the bad things that happen going forward. But it's good to watch the film and see it, and that's why I'm not going to be too specific with telling exactly what happens. But the film starts off in a kind of very kind of Salem witch trials kind of feel, around about the 1800s, mid 1800s, with a lady having her face sewed together, mouth sewed together, I should say, very bloody, and she gets transported to the middle of the forest, has a noose thrown around her neck, and gets hoiked up on the tree, trying to strangle her to death. But they find killing her isn't as easy as what they thought, and there's a lot of worried faces out there as they're trying to kill this person that is feared as a witch. And so yeah, then it kind of switches to the modern day, and this mother and daughter. But yeah, there's a lot of good fun stuff in there. As I say, it's quite a small cast. We've also got Lulu Adams, who plays Amber, who's the girl that Izzy tries to befriend. Rinzin Thondon, who plays AJ, is another as a guy who's connected to that group of friends to Amber, and Kenzom as Ingrid, who's connected to Amber's group as well, who she tries to kind of make friends with. And of course, once you mix those dark things with the public and the outside world, things aren't so safe, things aren't so good anymore. And it's kind of the same in this film here as well. John Adams and Toby Poser are actually married, and Lulu and Zelda are their children, so it's very family affair, this filmmaking business and over this film. They wanted to explore kind of parenting, witchcraft and matriarchy. The filmmaking family, as I've mentioned earlier, the Adams, they shot the film in their home in Catskill, New York, during the COVID-19 lockdowns, taking turns being members of the film crew. Many scenes and dialogue in the film were improvised, which is quite cool. They did it themselves and just got on with it, and there's quite a few groups did that during COVID. Basically made sort of each member have their own roles, and so they didn't outsource for experts and for certain people, perhaps people they'd want to bring in if they could do it, if it hadn't have been for COVID. So it's quite good they did that, and it's come out pretty well. It's not any different to any other film, so they did a good job with that. Hellbender premiered at the 25th Fantasia International Film Festival on August 14, 2021, and came out on Shudder, where I watched it, on February 24th, 2022. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 97%, and said that it stirs a boiling cauldron. See what they've done there. A boiling cauldron of adolescent angst, serving up a coming-of-age story with dark horror overtones. I would agree with that. Metacritic gave the film 70 out of 100, had generally favourable reviews. Cool. The Guardian gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I gave it 4 myself, but there we go. So it said it was a highly original exercise in folk horror. I would agree with that. Film's cinematography has been commended, as well as the visuals, editing and cast performances, and also noting how impressed they was with the low budget special effects, which, as I say, you wouldn't think that it was just a small group of people that had made it during COVID. It just looks like a Hollywood horror film, so that is the best compliment I think you can give them. They all did such a tremendous job with it, with what they did. Brian Tallarico of RogerEbert.com, whoever they are, gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, commending the Addams family for making daring, confident genre films, adding that it gets better as it gets more surreal. Yes, I would agree with that. It does get very dark and very surreal and very kind of off the wall, a bit crazy as the film goes on, especially later on. It doesn't quite go the way that you would expect. It's certainly not predictable, which it could easily have been. A lot of films in this sort of space are a bit like that. So it's not predictable, which is very good. I'll give it an extra star for that. And it definitely lives up to the witch horror genre. Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. So yeah, it's a very good film. If you could perhaps say it's a little bit slow paced, but I think it never feels boring. It never feels like there's anything going on. It's quite a good, nice, steady build up. There's some good fun bits in there, some shocking bits in there as well. But yeah, I would say it's a pretty good movie. Not amazing, nothing sort of fantastic, nothing that's going to sweep all the awards, but very good. And say for the restrictions that they were working with, they did a damn fine job with it. So yeah, well done, Addams family. And I have heard that name before, so I think they have worked on quite a few other notable horror projects that have been quite good in the past as well. So yeah, give them all a watch, check them out on Google and see what there is. So I'm not sure, that I know the name, but just not quite sure which films they've done. They don't come quite to mind, so I've researched that myself and maybe watch some more of them. So they certainly seem to be a good group that put good content together. So yeah, give it a watch. Let me know what you think. If there's anything that we've missed, we've got to mention, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with another horror movie review. We're past Halloween now, as I say, but we're going to keep going to 18. We're going to get there, and yeah, we'll see tomorrow, and we'll see which one I choose for tomorrow's review.